Okay, so now we see Petrosian.
So we see Petrosian against Spassky. Petrosian with black plays playing his French. I mean, from time to time he played French defense, which is a very good one, and he was one of the specialists. Here it was a small surprise because he didn't play the main variation. I mean, the main variation here is bishop e7 or bishop b4. Very complicated, but okay, playable. And well, after bishop e7, e5, and so on, very complicated. All this is theory. Okay, so even h4 is possible, like this, with the pawn there, bishop g5, bishop e7, e5, e5, knight d7, and here, very interesting in that time was h4. h4, it was played by Alekhine first time, and very complicated. If you take the pawn, a little bit risky for black, very good attacking chances, So of course, in that time, Alekhine was very proud because he could show everybody, the main line from this opening. But okay, in their game, he took immediately in e4, which is not bad, but it's a little bit, different. It's another variation, of course. So knight takes, bishop e7, and now bishop takes. Now, natural bishop takes in f6, but it's very interesting to take with the pawn. Very complicated, but it's okay. Taking with the pawn is more complicated and gives back a little bit of a chance, because at least the structure is not so good, the pawn structure, but at least he keeps the bishop. I mean, he has two bishops, and therefore the game is complicated. It's okay, it's playable for black, it's not bad at all. He tried this against Bobby himself, and he got a normal position, a good position for black. Petrosian.
Yeah. But
so okay, bishop takes f6 is a little bit better for white all the time. Starting from here, you see. So okay, knight f3, and he played bishop d7 again, a little bit artificial. The idea is to come with the bishop in c6, and if possible, to give the white bishop against the knight and have different color bishops here. This is the idea for black, if he can realize it. But white is not forced to play like this. He can take, in one moment to take in f6, and he keeps the white bishop against the white bishop, and he has some advantage all the time, So okay, queen d2, okay, normal move.
So why the white has a advantage when are the same?
You see what is he has more space.
Okay.
More space and better structure, Finally, he can win the game, Spassky, because of the pawn structure. You see, in one moment, Petrosian accepted to trade some pieces, where he has finally some weakness in the pawn structure, and therefore he loses the game. Finally, So we'll see. The whole game is like a strategical lesson. We'll see. So after bishop c6, he took. Now again, he could take with the pawn, but it's different because with the pawn without the black bishop, white is clearly better, So he keeps the advantage. So now he took with the queen, and now simply knight e5. Now the problem is that you don't have time to come immediately with knight d7 because he has time to take in c6. Not the knight, but to take there, you see, in c6, and it's clear. White is much better in all positions, So right, so he castle long side, of course. Now it's different because you see, white castle, long side, and he wants to attack, if possible, on the other side. So black has to be careful here, and he wanted to come very quickly. Therefore, he played knight d7 immediately, but now he has a bad structure, you see?
Yeah.
Immediately after the opening. The alternative here was a little bit slow, but maybe it was okay. Gheorghiu and Tal, after the game, they commented the game, and they recommended this variation with the knight in b8, rook d8, you see, rook d8. Now you have to move something with white. For instance, let's say bishop d3, for instance. Bishop d3 is okay. He can't take in d4 because he loses after bishop takes h7 check. Of course, it's not good. But black wants to play like this, bishop e8. He doesn't want to have a bad structure. Okay? Bishop e8 with the idea later on knight c6. It's a little bit slow, but okay. White is better, but nothing decisive. Not immediately, let's say, So maybe it was better than in their game because the way they played, it's clear that only white can win, in their after knight d7. The other one was a little bit more complicated, better for white, but nothing in 2-3 moves like this.
Yeah.
Now it will be very clear. Okay, he took, and now h4, excellent move. Why? Because in some point, even if he doesn't have an attack or something quickly, has the possibility to come very quickly with the queen in g5. If he can trade queens in good conditions, it's clear that the black structure is very bad. The pawns a7, c6, c7, very bad. If white has a little bit of time to attack the pawns, he's clearly better and very good, chances to win the game. So he comes immediately with rook b8. Now again, a very strong move, rook h3 and c5. Okay, now after c5, it seems it's all right. I mean, he wants to trade as many pieces as possible with black, you see.
Yes.
But now white has time to play a move, and he plays immediately queen g5, excellent move. Now you don't have time to take the pawn. This is the problem. If you take the pawn in f2, you are lost. I mean, now, if he takes in f2, the possibility was like this, rook f3. Now the only move is queen g1. No? And now bishop b5 wins.
Bishop?
b5. He attacks the queen, he attacks the knight, and black can resign.
Yeah.
You see? So therefore, the position is bad now after queen g5. If he can trade the queen and have the end game, white is clearly better, very excellent chances to try to win, you see. Until the end. The end game is, much better for white, and Spassky realized very well the advantage, you see. So, okay, it's instructive until the end. So now what did he play? He took in d4, no? Yeah, he took in f6 now. Knight takes, rook takes d4. Now we see the result. Clearly better for white. Excellent structure for white, Good bishop against weaker knight. The two rooks very active. And two weaknesses, c7 and a7. Enough. At this very high level, it's decisive, So now, for instance, again, after rook b7, he moves the rook b3. Again, very good,
But it doesn't has double
I
pawns.
mean, he didn't. Well, even if he lets him to double, it's still okay for white, because in the moment that he doubles, he has the possibility to play bishop c4. And when you take the pawn in b2, bishop b3, and you lose the exchange. The rook from b2 is attacked, But it's not necessary. Rook b3 is much better, the way they played, you see. So now, if you look at the position, it seems okay, very simple, but black is lost here. Because you can't defend the 2 pawns, the 2 pawns are too weak. Much too weak, to have too many weaknesses. This is the problem. I mean, he wants to put everything on black, but he has no time, you see. So now again, very strong move, rook c4. So now what to do? Knight e8. If he played, for instance, knight d5, no? Knight d5, after the simple rook c5, you lose something. Okay, rook c5. Now he threatens bishop c4 or c4, and you lose the pawn c7. This is the problem, Okay, so knight e8. Okay, knight e8. Very passive, but okay, bad. And now again, very strong move, rook a4, attacking immediately the pawn. And when you move something, he has time to play g3 and bishop g2, attacking the rook, and the pawn, from a7 will be lost. Very simple,
Yeah.
But very instructive. Knight d6, and now I told you g3. The game is decided already. Now black loses a pawn.
But why not pushing this pawn?
He can push, he can push, but after b4 again.
Sorry.
Immediately lost.
Okay. So
b4. Therefore. Very simple, but it's lost.
Yeah.
I mean, with some pieces on board only, but the weakness is decisive. You see. Okay, so now he took the pawn. The rest, we see how quickly Spassky can realize the advantage. Very instructive until the end. King d2, a6, okay, c4, g5 takes, and king c3. Well, in a few moves, everything happens. b4 is move by move, but very quickly. b5, what he play? Rook h2, check in c6. Now king d8 and c5, and black resigned. No,
He resigned. Yes.
c5. He plays c5, and black resigned. Why? Because if you move knight c8, after rook a8, you lose the knight, and white makes a queen also. But after knight f5, for instance, knight f5, b6, and okay, b6 finished. Nothing to do. Mate or queen, or both. Yes,
No.
by this very high level, you can imagine. In this match, if I remember well, Petrosian won the match and he became world champion. Even playing like this, such a game, it happened.
That was the match for the world champion.
World title, yes.
World title.
Yes.
And Petrosian.
Because Petrosian won first the title, and there, the second match, he lost the title with Spassky, and Spassky became world champion. But that happened in '69, some years later.
Some years later.
Yeah. But the game, very simple, you see.
Yeah.
Very simple. But it's very surprising that Petrosian played like this, by this high level, you see, because he knew very well the variation. But if you look at the game, nothing happened. White won like this, you see.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Was one
very
way.
simple. One way. I mean, he didn't have any counterplay, with black, you see. And by very simple play, I mean, he didn't do anything. I mean, just 2-3 good moves.
Yeah.
h4, queen j5, very, very nice until the end, you see. The best
Nice-
moves are
nice and
always,
clean.
very good technique. But, okay, weakness. A weakness, I
Yeah.
tell you, yeah. Therefore,
All right.
by this level, this is decisive,
Nice.
very quickly. Yeah,
Right. Thank you.
you're welcome.